All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started, I believe. Yep. So welcome to another Reltio community show. This one's a little bit different. It's called Data Sovereignty by Design, Introducing the China Region. So Sushant will be leading the discussion today. He's the Senior Director of Product Management here at Reltio, and I am the Customer Community and Engagement Director here at Reltio. As usual, keep yourself on mute. We would like you to ask the questions at the end of the call, or after the presentation, and then we'll make sure to answer all questions. I will have a survey at the end of the call. It's a Zoom pop-up. It will show up, and then I will also start a poll at the end as well. A lot of stuff going on for me to do, so we'll see if I can get through it. But just as an FYI, we have several shows coming up. Today's show on data sovereignty, and then on the 3rd of May, we have preparing for your Reltio implementation. And then on the 4th, we have unlock trusted data for profitable growth in insurance. And there's 3 more. I'm not going to say them all, but a couple of those are going to be very technical and I know exciting to this team. And then one is going to be more of a what I think of thought leadership around data mesh and data as a product for customer data. And the last thing I'm going to say, and I've mentioned this before, we do have an industry event coming up that Reltio is sponsoring in a big way called Data Driven 23. It's a modern data management conference, October 3rd through 5th. So make sure you go sign up today. And well, yeah, you can basically sign up at reltio.com/data driven. So Sushant, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks,
Dave,
Chris.
looking great, by the way. He's our other video guy. I love it when people get on video.
Hey, Dave. All right, I'm going to share my screen. If you could just tell me if you can see it.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
All right, should we get started?
Let's get started.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm really excited to speak with all of you today right here. As Chris mentioned, my name is Sushant. I'm a Senior Director of Product Management here at Reltio. I, along with my team, are responsible for the core platform here at Reltio. And today, I would like to talk to you about the concept around data sovereignty and how it's part of core design here at Reltio. And I'm really, really excited to announce the availability of China region in the same theme. Okay, so let's keep it interactive. Please ask your questions towards the end of the presentation. We have enough time. I'd like to talk to you about this, this offering and data sovereignty in general. Any questions, comments you might have, plus put it in the chat or ask it live. All right. So okay. Now let's start right on what exactly is data sovereignty, right? It means different things, and let's get the basics. At its core, data sovereignty refers to the idea that data is subject to the laws and the governance structures of the country in which it is located. In other words, right, if your data is stored in a particular country, the country's law and regulations apply to that data. Data sovereignty in general oversees both regulatory and security violations, right? It covers both data privacy, data residency, and everything associated with it. Why exactly is it important, right? Why we should all pay really, really close attention to it. As we know, right, data is an incredibly valuable asset in today's world, right? It can contain sensitive personal information, PII data, that needs to be protected. By ensuring that data is subject to the laws and regulations of a country in which it is located, we can help to ensure that this information is protected from unauthorized access, theft, and other potential risks as well, right? And of course, with the regulations, there can be some challenges as well. Data sovereignty can also create these challenges for businesses and organizations such as yours that operate across the borders, right? You are a global company, you're operating in multiple countries, each of them having their own data sovereignty laws. You may need to comply with different data protection laws and regulations in each location, and this can create additional administrative burdens and costs. But despite these challenges, our data sovereignty is becoming increasingly important in today's digital age. As more and more data is generated and stored online and hosted, data about your consumers and and other domains, it is increasingly becoming really important that the data is subject to appropriate laws and companies are complying with these laws, right? How would you ensure that you're complying with these data sovereignty requirements? One key step is to ensure the data is stored in a location that, and then all the laws or regulations of that particular location are known to you, all the certifications and audits are completed for the product that you're using, right? Another important step is to develop appropriate data management policies and procedures that comply with relevant data protection laws and regulations, right? And you need a partner, you need a product or a platform that understands these, these regulations, these laws, and already supports sovereignty out of the box so that you can focus on your business rather than dealing with individual regulations, okay? So in conclusion, right, data sovereignty is an increasingly important concept in today's age. We all should be aware of it. We all should be focusing on it. And I think it's right on everybody's mind, right, as we'll see later. By ensuring the data is subject to appropriate laws and regulations, we can help protect sensitive information from potential risks, while also ensuring organizations can continue to operate effectively across the borders. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of details. Data sovereignty is not new, but it has caught up in recent years, right? Especially last 5 years, you might have noticed every single country, in even regions within a country, are coming up with their own regulations, right? It probably started with GDPR, comprehensive data protection regulation implemented by European Union in 2018, closely followed by CCPA in California, California Consumer Privacy Act. Applies to organizations that collect personal data of California residents in particular. Canada came up with Personal Information Protection and Electronics Document Act, for Canada. That it also applies to private organizations in Canada that collect, use, or disclose personal information in course of any commercial activities. And you will see, right, there's a whole gamut of countries, right, across the globe where we have this, right? Few examples: Germany, Austria, Singapore. It's all coming. If some countries don't have it, they're in process of drafting these legislations and will be effective very soon, right? For example, India itself, right, in process of that, right? So this is a small list, but a representative on how every country and region is coming with its own laws to ensure privacy and protection of the data of their own citizens and residents, right? We went through, we looked at some survey results, right? IDC Cloud Core survey done it, same quarter of 2022 reported that 48% of IT leaders who say data sovereignty have factored already in the discussions of IT architectures, right? So while they're developing their data landscape, they are considering it already, right? And around 4% of IT leaders who believe organizations very few will not be impacted, right? And that's such a small number. So you can see how it is already on top of everybody's mind, because there are severe consequences of not being applicable. Either you're not able to grow your business, you're not able to reach certain markets, or you're at risk of penalties or consequences by violating these norms and regulations. So it is a complex landscape. It's ever changing. Even in the countries which have these regulations for some time, these regulations keep on changing from time to time as well. Right? How can Reltio help you with this? Reltio had data sovereignty in mind from day one, right? We operate at a global scale. We are committed to helping organizations achieve data sovereignty across the globe, right? Our core platform ensures that organizations are able to store and manage their data in compliance with relevant laws and regulations. This includes primarily having data centers or regions locally to ensure data is loaded, in compliance with data localization laws. As well as we have implemented robust data management policies and procedures to ensure sensitive data is prevented from unauthorized access, right? You can see from the image on your screen that across all three cloud providers that we work with, AWS, GCP, and Azure, we have multiple regions across the globe. And we can support these regulations where you would like to grow, right? So we have, for AWS, we have 2 regions in US, 2 in EU, we have 1 in Singapore and China, right? The focus of the conversation today, which we're going to talk about next, right? For GCP, we are in US and Canada. We are for EU, we are in Belgium. For Great Britain, we are in London. Azure, we have already have a region in US, and then a new region is coming up in EU really soon, in the next 1 to 2 quarters, right? So customers have a choice of the cloud platform, as well as a choice of, as well as not a choice, but wherever they would like their deployment to be, okay? And for us, being natively cloud, it is very easy for us to set up new geos where our customers need it, right? And being available in China is a step in that direction. So let's talk about China for something, right? I want to talk about specific data center requirements in China. A key cybersecurity standard for operating in China is multi-level protection scheme, or MLPS, right? What is this MLPS, or multi-level protection scheme? It's essentially a comprehensive cybersecurity regulatory framework that is implemented by the Chinese government in 2017 and has been revised a couple of times as early as last year, right? The scheme aims to strengthen China's cybersecurity defenses by establishing standardized system for assessing and classifying security of information systems, providing corresponding security requirements and measures for each level. Under the MLPS, information systems are categorized into 5 levels, with level 1 being the most critical and level 5 being the least critical, right? Higher level information systems are subject to more rigorous security requirements and control the lower level systems. Organizations, all private organizations that operate information systems or products in China, which host customer data, are required to undergo security assessment and obtain an MLPS certification for their system, based on the level of system determined. The certificate is issued by relevant authorities and is valid for a certain period of time, right? The MLPS also requires that personal data generated and collected within China be stored locally and prohibits the transfer of such data outside of China without prior approval from relevant authorities. Overall, MLPS is a key component of China's cybersecurity regulatory framework and is aimed at strengthening China's cybersecurity defenses. Now, we went through a complete audit process with the relevant authorities and our auditor, Shanghai Institute for Integrated Application of Network Technology. We have successfully passed the audit for MLPS certification in January of this year, and we were granted a level 3 certification, right? It was a long and complex process that went over multiple months last year, but we're very, very happy to announce that Reltio is now MLPS certified, which means that we are allowed to operate in China and host customer data in China, and customers can start now deploying their global customers can start deploying the Reltio instances in China. Okay. So why is this important, right? Reltio is the only SaaS vendor of any category, right, to have attained MLPS certification in China. It's key to SaaS has been always kind of a #1 priority for us, right? We are natively cloud. We are always being SaaS, and with the same philosophy applies as we stand up new regions. And we went with the same philosophy in China, right? Reltio is the first and only SaaS master data management platform in China as well. That is again a distinction, right? We have our first of its kind cloud native platform that can enable global organizations to unify multi-source, silo data into single source of trusted information. Many of you are already doing it across the globe in multiple regions. Now, the same capability is available to you in China. The platform is, as you know, is natively built on cloud, right? In China, we have set up our region on AWS with our AWS partnership, and that ensures our scalability, unlimited scalability for our customers as they grow. Right? As you might know, not all cloud providers are available in China, especially GCP. So we have started with AWS and fully operational out there, right? And as I said, Reltio is now MLPS certified and available to all customers. So you can now start your deployments in China and onboard data for your customers or any other domain, customers or any other domains, right? Product, consumers, anything. Reltio not only provides a fully managed public cloud platform, right? But also local language support for customers in case of any issues. And this seems trivial, but it's very important for two things. One is compliance. The data in Reltio in China cannot be viewed or accessed outside China, even for troubleshooting, right? So you need local support to look at, to support customers in case of any issues. And the second one is users or administrators would benefit from someone in the same time zone speaking their language, right? So we have now a local L1 support team on the ground, trained on Reltio, ready to work with you and support your growth within China. Our global customers have already started implementing local instances in China to extend their reach, right? I'd like to share with you a case study already, right? One of our customers, who is a global luxury brand, has a huge customer base in China and would like to get a unified 360-degree view of those consumers. But compliance with data sovereignty, data privacy, and data residency is a key requirement, is a critical requirement. So they did choose to deploy Reltio as a separate instance in China, and now are in process of implementation and soon to go live itself, right? So it's not just theoretical. We are fully compliant. We have the necessary audit done. The certification is done. Our Reltio is fully operational. The region is up and running. We have environments up and running. We have tenants that are already provisioned or can be provisioned, and we have local support in place, right? So as a region, China is fully operational, and we are ready to, support customers in their growth in China, with their growth in China, right? So with that, right, I would like to, open the forum for questions. I can look at chat, or you can also unmute yourself to ask any questions. This is not, I know I did not want to present and bore you with a lot of content here, so I just stuck to the basics, right? A lot of you already work with Reltio, so any questions you might have for data sovereignty or China as a region or cloud or in general, please go ahead.
So we do have one question for now, Sushant. And none of this content is boring. That's why we're all here. It's all interesting. Can the China profiles be co-located in the US region instance, or do we need to dedicate instance to store the data?
So China profiles, if the profiles are of consumers who are China, citizens or residents of China, by law cannot be located in US region instances, right? So you will have to have a dedicated instance in China and store the data, dedicated Reltio instance in China and store the data in China. That's the regulation, and that's how our customers are looking at it.
Great. And then as if any other questions come up, let me know. I am launching a poll. And so we're just kind of trying to get some information around, are you interested in enabling data sovereignty? Yes or no? And if you are, we'll make sure to reach out and talk to you more about it. So certainly appreciate the feedback. Anybody want to, and I'll keep this up for about 20 seconds. Anybody else want to kind of ask a question, thoughts?
Could be about anything.
Anything. You can turn this into Ask Me Anything.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? That's a little dangerous. All right.
Sushant, I'm sorry, I joined a little bit late. Did you talk about the the very high regulatory hurdles that exist in trying to get a managed SaaS application in China up and running? And if you already have, I'm sorry, no need to repeat yourself, but.
Yes, we did briefly talk about it, right? And I can speak about it again, right? So as I said, right, we spoke at length about the MLPS certification and what does it entail and what are the complex requirements are for it, and how Reltio approached it. So we worked with the local, went for an assessment, and we worked with the local auditor. These actually, while we were going through the audits, the regulations changed itself. So we had to make changes there, but we have gotten a level 3 certification on MLPS, and then it's all good now. We are ready as a region there, right? Yeah. Is that something you were looking for?
No, so I'm an internal person. Sorry. So I just having heard you talk about this before, I just find it so impressive that that the hurdles that the Chinese government puts up to do this. This is organizationally, this is a very much a non-trivial task. And just a hats off to you and the team that worked on this, because it was clearly something that I'm amazed that you A, have hair, and B, that it's not all gray. So good work.
Thanks,
I think we had some other question. Did somebody want to?
Hey, it's Kanchan actually. So I would like to check what kind of a latency we are talking about. Let's suppose if users are sitting in US trying to access the data or trying to pump some data via the US network to China network. So are we talking, I'm not going any real time, but what is the latency we are talking about here with respect to real time implementation? Because there could be chance where we try to get the real time profile search of China region. Maybe the user, I'm not sure if this is a real use case or not, but like some possibility, like if a user is traveling to from China to US, and like he was sitting traveling for some time, and then he was trying to pull that kind of information from China, but his primary residence is China, but that's where the data goes in, and in his search, it has to hit that region to search his data. So what is the latency we are talking about here? Any significant delays? Because my personal experience is whenever I personally deal with AP Southeast region from US, yes, that adds latency. But I just want to check on that part.
Yeah, so that's a good question, right? I don't think this use case is allowed by the laws itself, that you're accessing data of a Chinese resident, for example, right, outside China. So that is the use case is against the law itself. In terms of latencies, I don't have those numbers yet, because we don't have, we're not allowed to support that.
Right. Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
That is the reason there's one of the reasons, right? Our support team, will be outside in China, will not be able to even troubleshoot, or look at the data itself. That's we can't support that.
Perfect. So, and one last question, actually. So, sure. So I mean, how do you? So, where is the differentiation should happen? Like, this specific profile belongs to China based on his address, geolocation. So it should stay it should show in China specific silos only, right? Like who is going to take care of that specific separation? It has to be a customer's responsibility to redirect to a specific thing, or it has to be Reltio will automatically store these data by region, I mean, where it based on the geolocation or country code. How does it works?
So in terms of regulation, right? If the resident is from China and you're collecting that data and storing in Reltio, it has to be only stored in China. And the data would be loaded only in the China instance, right? So customers will always have a dedicated Reltio instance inside China for China. It's not that at the time of data load, we will check the address and then move that instance to a data to the China instance. So you will have customers will have to look for all the data they have of Chinese residents and upload that only in the China instance of Reltio.
Right. So if I understand it correctly, like it's a customer responsibility to redirect the Chinese specific reservations or whatever the profiles data are region specific, and not only China, any country for the matter of fact, whoever want to regulate that, it has to be customer responsibility to redirect to that specific instance of Reltio to redirect that data. Right?
Yes.
If I understand correctly. Okay. Yeah. Because like we are in that kind of situation, we are not thinking about it. So thank you. That enlightens me. Thank you.
Thanks, Kenshin. So what does L1 support include? Is there any cost associated with L1 support? And do we have professional services available in China? And how do you change the service if it's available?
And how do you charge the service, I would say, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right.
Charge,
So
my bad.
so L1 support is pretty much the same that we have, and it does not charge separately. It's part of our license. Just like, so our services don't change when it comes to China, right? I mean, as with any global support, L1, L2, L3. The L1 support is available locally in China, but L2 and L3 support will be global, and there is no separate pricing or costs to it, right? And we do, we have, our professional services can work with you to do the implementation, as well as our customers, as the case study I mentioned as well. Our partners, like system integrators and others, who are already working in China, are also ready to support your implementations in there, right? So both Reltio professional services as well as all our partners will be able to support these implementations.
Great.
And
Any
the
other
charge of services are very specific to the scope of the services, right? So I can't comment on the charge here.
No, that makes sense. And I don't see any other questions, so I'll give it 5 more seconds. Anybody want to bring up a question or two? No? Okay. Well, Sushant, thank you so much for talking a little bit about our service in China. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for coming to another show. We will have several shows, 2 more next week, and then we are booked in May as well. So really excited about that as well. And so we'll see you then. But until then, we'll see you on the community.reltio.com. Sushant, thanks again for everything. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.